foot. If I were to trim everything down all the way to that plane, I'm going to see the magic red stuff, and I don't want to see that. As a matter of fact, I want to stay as far away from that as I can. Because if there's anything that I've learned, shorter is not better. You know, you don't go around here, you know, walking on your kneecaps in the gravel, because you want that bone is close to the skin. So it's like that kind of mentality of shorter being better is just something that's been propagated in our industry that I've not found to be helpful for the horses anyway. Might look better sometimes radiographically, but they typically don't like it from a soundness standpoint. My whole game plan in general this time of year on any of the horses, and really I kind of feel the same way pretty much any time of the year, is building depth of soil and vertical depth without letting things get out the front door to where you're developing leverage length. There's not going to be a ton to do on this guy, but he does have a little bit we can trim off. Just see roughly what his toe length should be. It's about 3 1/4, 3 1/2 or so, and we're already there at 3 1/2 right there on the toe length. So that tells you already that there's not a lot to do. It does have a little, just a little small plane there that we could clean up. Let's just a touch. With the frog trim, I don't do too much, just anything that needs to come off that's kind of trashed up already. I want to just clean it up to make it more hygienic. He's already got most of his cleaned off. Looks like at some point, not too long ago, he probably had an abscess or something that kind of ran its course all the way around. Get that little seam separation there. You know, we talked about rasping on flare. The same can be applied to the widest part of the foot, because it seems like right where the quarters are, don't they? Just from habit of coming around the corner. But you'll find is where that foot bends, where it comes back and you've got that quarter bend right there, because it gets hit so many times, that usually becomes a weakened area, doesn't it? Yes. So I try to work to it and from it when I'm gathering feet up. and try to just stay off of it altogether. You know, there's nothing wrong with just taking the edge off of it at the end, but I find if you want to just be careful not to over thin that and lose the strength of your quarter bend. So the foot consists of arcs. So we have an arc in the front half and the back half that are reciprocals of each other. And you can see it even before we touch it. And we've got an arc here. You can see it kind of has a little bump out right there. So I'm just going to bring my rasp around, just like that. Don't want to over thin it or anything. If you look at this one, that back arc, if you look at the thickness, it's already a little thin right in here, so I don't want to touch that. Start at your widest part, and we'll bring this in forward. And we notice again that that and that are basically reciprocals of each other, just arcs around. Everybody see that? We've got those reciprocal angles and that and that. And so just looking up this wall, we can see that when we put that right there on that quarter, he's not flared or anything there. Not there either. Anything he might be just missing where it's just slightly rolled off a little bit.
By hanging it like that.
Yeah. He's well put together on this limb. So now instead of, so we talked about this arc, right? Now what, those forces that are keeping this where it's at right now. Right? So if I change that, what's going to happen back here? Because if I change back here, but I always feel like if I come off the toe, I flare here and here. Yeah. So if that changes, that's going to change this arc too, isn't it? Yeah. In which direction do you think it's going to go? I think if you did it for very long, these heels are going to suddenly start to twist in. They'll start getting those hooks on the back of them. Yeah. Because right now we got this nice open arc, because this is nice and open and elongated.
Yeah, he's saying, I've noticed, Clay, and Phillip was saying too, I noticed when I come off the toe, I flare at my quarters, right? Yeah. But that changes the back half of the foot too.
Yeah, you're
start hooking. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
when it's all connected, your force has to go somewhere, right? So if we're dealing with a wet, very pliable foot, it's going to respond in some fashion to any kind of force we put on it. The same way, if I want to, I could change it in the other direction. I could try to make that toe super pointy.
You're going to make your heels elongated too,
huh. So, that's what I'm saying. It's like, when there's nothing to fix, don't try to go out there and fix it.
No, I had a good go. It's a fast class. There's a lot going on.
You gonna try it again?
We'll get this foot trimmed up, and then we'll go through kind of how I measure feet. Speed up the fitting process. Get the mud out of it. And I want to clean up the back of this frog, get it all just tidied up so that I can see, by looking at the depth of the frog, the depth of my foot. Looks like a lot of it's already kind of missing, so clean up what's there, take a look at it.
You were saying something a little bit ago about the, what in your opinion causes that? Because it mostly shows up, for me, it shows up this time of year, or wintertime to this time of year.
So, a lot of times it's nothing that we are doing that brings about it. If you could reference Travis Burns' thesis that he did for his FW, you can access it online. He talks more about pronounced crena and the correlation between a pronounced crena and the occurrence frequency of CD toe. A lot of times it's outside of our control. We actually one thing did over there, I think. I think that'll break out if I don't clean it up, so I'm just going to go ahead and try to tidy that up a little bit just so it doesn't break off. Again, we're not going crazy with trying to remove a bunch of foot. He'll probably like us more if we leave a little on him. I do like to try to clean up these tags and stuff so you can actually see the foot. Little tags of that frog coming around here. Again, that's a nice foot. Let's clean up our arc from the widest point back. Careful with that side. Looks like it's already a little bit rolled off there. Start at the widest part. Bring that arc forward. We'll take a look at it before I go any further. Any questions so far?
How important is it to you to leave strength of bars or not?
Oh, yeah, as long as they're structurally sound, yes, I like to leave the bars in there. But if they've got, junk, like, I cleaned that one up down in there where it had kind of that ledge.
Yep.
I want to clean that up so it doesn't become an issue. And I'd rather clean it up with my knife than even break it out in a more uncontrolled fashion,
You come across some bars on some thoroughbreds that look like they just kind of curve out through there.
Things to help him, change posturally. Say he's got a bunch of problems in his SI joint and stuff. He's going to start tucking those hind limbs. All of a sudden, you've got toe running out the front door and heels flying up under him. So if we can change how he wants to stand on that limb, his foot's going to change without me touching it.
Right.
Because he's loading it differently. So that's what I mean. It's working top down.
Right.
And if we can work together with people to help them posturally, a lot of times that ends up changing what we thought we needed to change on the foot. All right, so when I'm doing shoe selection and stuff, I want to find a shoe that I can get all the way to the back of the foot with.
Right.
And on his case, I'm planning on a perimeter fit. I don't see any reason with him to you know, set him back or anything of that nature. He's got really great angles and everything, so just plan on a perimeter fit. And but when I'm selecting the shoe, I don't care what brand of shoes you use. I think we all just gravitate towards what we got used to, and that's kind of been my case. Is I've used these shoes pretty much my whole career, so it doesn't matter what shoe you're using. But whatever inventory you typically run, if you will commit to memory the sizes of those shoes and circumferences of those shoes, you don't have to run back and forth with the horse with a bunch of shoes and take all day. So like, I know what all my shoes measure, and so when I get my circumference and take into account any kind of like weird shapes that are going on where I need to offset it more or whatever, you know, you can just go over there and start making a shoe that'll fit it.
Right.
You do it a little bit more efficiently just by taking a couple of measurements. For the first fit, I'm wanting to know where I want that shoe to end, not necessarily where the end of his heel is. Now, in his case, that is pretty much heel to heel. But if you had one that you were wanting to fit with a touch more length, you would obviously want to run your tape out there so you make sure you get enough. So I'm running it around, and I want to come all the way to there, and that's about 13 3/4. And that'll give me enough to get all the way around it and, you know, not be having to stretch it or anything of that nature. So that was 13 3/4. I'm going to use an alt in the SSPs because they measure 14 inches. The double alts are 13 1/4, 13 1/2. So I'd have to stretch on that a good bit to get it to work, and actually get around the whole foot with a perimeter fit. And then I would just measure my width, and it says on the tape 4 1/2, but there's no reason for me to remember 4 1/2 because I'm not going to make the shoe 4 1/2 because I won't cover the 4 1/2, so I'm going to remember 4 5/8. I don't like to remember a bunch of numbers in my head, so just memorize what you want to actually remember once you get over there. The other thing is, over time you'll realize that, you know, you have more mass over on the lateral aspect under the coffin bone, and that plays into that shape of the foot, because he is just like most other animals, and he bears weight down the center line of his body. So you have a more pronounced medial toe and out and around on the outside, right? You probably hear a lot of people talking about fitting the medial toe or missing the medial toe, stuff like that. But what they're really talking about is just the asymmetry of the shape of the feet. They're not perfectly symmetrical feet, and they shouldn't be. Just like our feet aren't symmetrical, because we also bear weight down the center line of our body. So the more medial aspect of our toes is also the most forward portion of our feet.
Right.
Same with any animal that bears weight down the center line of its body. So you've got a more pronounced medial toe, and then things fall off from there and comes back around. And then outside that, if those arcs from the front half to the back half are reciprocal, then you already know what the shape should look like over there at the ankle, right? So if during the trim we've paid attention as we trimmed it, then all we really need is to know what size of shoe and how wide does it need to be, and we should be in the ball game, right? So that's all I'm looking for. And you could take multiple other measurements if you wanted to, you know, do your heel width or stuff like that to give you a few more things to back up. But if you look at those arcs and that arc's a reciprocal, so forth, then we should be pretty close and just have very little to do after that first fitting trip. Okay, we're going to send that lateral toe down. Notice I'm putting my medial toe right there so it doesn't move. I'm just going to move that down. Now to tighten the medial side a little bit, instead of knocking it down, I'll just bring it in a little bit. Go out to my widest part, come back in, go back to my lateral. I just place my contact right where that widest part of the foot is, do a slight straightening blow, then cross over. There's my quarter bend, and then straighten again. That looks a touch wide. Yeah. Once we get that general shape in there, it makes it a lot easier to adjust. So that's tucked in a little too much. Alright, so we've got the general shape in there. Alright, just a touch wide, it's probably about 4 3/4 now, but we still got to put a clip on there, so it's going to bring it in some. So we're right there, just about 1/8 over where we want to end up at. Bring that lateral down. Needle out. Out to the quarter bend. Go across and then straighten it behind it. What's that? Are you asking? So the foot, it's going to tell you a lot about the angle of the wall.
Okay.
Especially when you start doing quarter clips. When you look and you see a very angular foot, it's going to have a lot more pitch on it, right?
Okay. Same thing, I'm going to put the clip into the web of the shoe, just the tip of my hammer there. So I'm kind of digging it in. Now I'll pitch it. Put the clip in the shoe. I'm almost do like a shearing, right at the base. I'm just using the tip of my hammer to push it into the shoe. Then I can pitch it. Alright, it's still just about an 1/8 wide or so.
I know personally.
take a flat hammer, a flat horseshoe, and a flat anvil. It ain't gonna be flat no more. Give me a sec.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah. There ain't no point in making any of it flat. Alright, first things first, we just gotta get the clip in there before we can see where the fit is. So just take a really light burn, and this is where you find out if they like burning or not. Just take a little light burn, just marking where that clip goes. We'll get that brought in. Now look over wide on the inside.
Full medium too.
Yeah. I knew I was about out of shoe on the lateral side.
Yeah. Just a little.
You get it brought in there just a little bit more. It looks like I need to pitch the clip just a touch at the top. And then bring that medial in just a little bit and then kick it back out. It needs to be brought around just a little bit on the outside. Now I'm a little bit full right here, so I need to bring this in a little bit, but I need to kick that out because it gets tight again right there. So
Is that the wall right there? So you're talking about turning it in like that little black mark right there? Is that so
yeah, that's
the
the
heels
exit
right
wall.
there. So that actually just marks it for you on the
Yeah.
shoe.
So that's one of the big advantages of doing it hot if the horse can handle it, is you get that information that you would normally be. Kind of the same thing over here. But just get that clip put in the foot first. That way we can see where everything else sits. I'm just lining up that clip source with the apex of my frog. We'll throw that right down right there. You go. So we're probably gonna have to put a little more pitch on the clip on this one as well. Bring it in on the inside. Alright, same deal. Be fine. Well, we're looking like Sam. We want a little bit full. Yeah, so it's a little straighter right to there. We got to pop it. Oh, that's no over. I'm sorry. I was over here talking to Sam. You wasn't even Sam.
You're Sam today.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to insult you. Is it bad for over there? Can you see? Oh no, that's about right. By the time we drop it in that bucket, it's going to draw up another. Alright, so we're still a little full on the medial aspect. Need to bring the lateral. Now if I'm putting on one with a toe clip, I typically start with the toenails so that it keeps everything tight. So I start back here, it could shift forward, and then I don't get that tight fit on my clip.
why do you bend yours over instead of ringing them off?
Well, I don't want them to come through my hand.
Good answer.
If I've got my hand under there, they're not going to snag if he pulls his hand away from me or whatever, or pulls his foot away from me.
Well, I'd had people tell me I used to ring mine off till I'd had half my hand ripped out.
The other thing is, I don't like nails and nail bits being left all over the place.
True.
So
You got a hand on your head.
if I bend them over and then I clip them off, I've got control of where they end up.
Right. That's always been my thoughts.
Okay, he lives close, so he didn't live about 15 months. But he did.
There's also a lot of twisting on the wrist to ring them. You do that all day, it can get a little tiring.
My wrists don't bend like they used to, so a lot of times I'll just use that to bend it down and then hit it. Put them off.
But in nailing, you learn more. Maybe you won't. Maybe you just like it. I don't know.
See that? All my nails ended up in there instead of all over the person's yard. All right. Now I'm going to just take my clinchers and real softly grab it and just pull it out to a 90-degree bend. I'm going to do this one broke down, but we'll do the other one in real time so you're not thinking this is an all-day process. Because it really doesn't take long once you get used to the gouge and the tools and stuff. So I go back now and just clip them back off just straight. And this is just for the length part. You could hit them with a rasp if you prefer. Now we'll go just under the edge and make a little scoop for them with the gouge. So it's got a nice little clean pocket it can sit in.
Yeah, you'll learn more in failing than you will in passing. It's almost like a pyramid. What's that? For clinch gouge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we'll just clean it up.
Do you hammer clinch, Mr. Phillip?
What's that?
Do you hammer clinch?
I'm not even good at it. I can assure you that. Hey, stop. I don't want to hit my nails very much. I'm just tidying up the wall there.
Take some of them burrs off.
Yeah.
It's really just
In there, I haven't taken away a lot of foot, and I'm gonna put a coat of oil in there before I leave anyway. Well, if you're shooting a lot of nice horses and stuff, and you're taking that extra little step, you can do it with the sanding sponge. It don't matter. Like, just cleaning them up, tidying them up for these people taking them to horse show. They love it. So,
yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with the.
Well, you've already rasped.
Yeah.
So mostly.
Put the shoes on, so can the horse ride good is the real question.
What's that?
Can the horse ride good is the real question.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing I get pushback on the buffer is when you're removing the natural sealer.
Periopal.
Yes.
Well, you
But I already
you removed
rasped it
wherever
off.
you rasped.
Right.
That's what Danvers said. He said
What
with
you got?
Buffin, he found that
So
you put-
they're going to be more impacted with the wet and dry. But
So you like
if you
hoof
keep them
oil
saturated in oil,
or
they
hoof
don't
dressing?
get all wiggly and stuff all the time because they can't really evaporate.